We've all encountered them. Lines of dialogue so bad you can't help but groan at how cheesy or tasteless they are. But do bad lines pop up more often in bad movies, or are movie fans just willing to overlook terrible dialogue if they like the characters and story? The following 10 films remain close to our hearts, but we think you'll agree that they've earned their place on this list. Here are Screen Rant's 10 terrible lines in great movies. Jurassic Park. In Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park, Donald Gennaro is the lawyer sent along with the movie's dinosaur experts to determine the park's safety. But the wording of his warning to Grant, Sadler, and Malcolm shows some flawed logic.
Your investors, whom I represent, are deeply concerned. 48 hours from now, if they're not convinced, I'm not convinced.
This over-explanatory line is butchered by clumsy wording. It's confusing at best, and an outright mistake at worst. Written more clearly, later scenes of the main character as being unconvinced while Gennaro sees only profits would be twice as interesting. It's a line best ignored in a movie famed for its quotability. North by Northwest. There aren't many mistaken identity thrillers more iconic than Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest. Stars Cary Grant and Eva Marie Saint earned the most attention, but acclaimed screenwriter Ernest Lehman also deserves praise. For North by Northwest, Lehman penned an exchange racy enough to send the 1959 crowds into bouts of the vapors. In the original line, Saint informs Grant that she never made love on an empty stomach, clarifying she's referring to his stomach. Censors balked at the witty blend of romance, sex appeal, and shock value, so the audiences instead got the meaningless exchange heard in the movie's final cut.
I never discuss love on an empty stomach.
You've already eaten.
But you haven't.
Gladiator. Ridley Scott's action-packed Gladiator made Russell Crowe a household name, but fans love to hate the film's antagonist, Joaquin Phoenix's devious Emperor Commodus. There's lots to hate about this scene, from the Moulin Rouge-esque camera sweep to Phoenix's delivery, but the line left awkwardly hanging in mid-air is worst of all.
Why is he still alive? I'm terribly vexed.
Saying that a man's pulse vexes him makes Commodus' self-involved arrogance clear. The added emphasis confirms that the filmmakers don't trust their viewers to get it on their own, which ruins the magic. Superman the Movie. In Superman the Movie, Richard Donner originally planned to have the film's love theme, Can You Read My Mind, sung by Lois Lane in a musical number. Ultimately, the song was worked into Lane's midnight flight with Superman, with her reciting the lyrics instead.
Can you read my mind?
Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve's chemistry made the sequence work better than it could have, but Kidder's deadpan delivery and the unexpected addition of an internal monologue while flying alongside her friend from another star makes for a pretty awkward moment. There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis won accolades for his work in Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood, but it was Kevin J. O'Connor who stole the spotlight with one troubled line. Audiences barely have time to recognize O'Connor from his role in 1999's The Mummy, before he claims that he's the main character's brother.
From another mother?
Anyone under the age of 60 knows that this is as out of place in the period as a cell phone, which turns an otherwise revealing statement into a punchline. Titanic. Unlike some of James Cameron's greatest hits, like the first two Terminator films, Aliens, and The Abyss, lines like I'm the king of the world or I'll never let go, Jack have become the butt of countless parodies and memes, and they're not even the film's worst offenders. It's the insight into the nature of women, delivered in the voice of elderly Rose, that stands out the most.
A woman's heart is a deep ocean of secrets.
Saying women are secretive while making not one but two plays on the name of the film's Heart of the Ocean necklace, that's the real tragedy. Batman Begins. With his Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan adapted Batman's mythology for modern audiences, while keeping much of the source material intact. But each film still included a handful of controversial moments. No line sums up those issues better than this one.
If you finally learn to do what is necessary, I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
In the film's climax, Bruce Wayne informs his mentor Ra's al Ghul that he'll never kill in the name of a greater good, before ultimately leaving Ra's to die. Spider-Man. Sam Raimi loves over-the-top dialogue and action, and mainstream audiences got their first mass exposure to his style in 2002's Spider-Man. The result was a success, but even though today's comic book blockbusters have Raimi and Spider-Man to thank for their popularity, no character has come close to being as cringeworthy as William Dafoe's Green Goblin. This exchange between the Goblin and Aunt May ended up exactly as Raimi intended, which proves that even the most inspired minds occasionally cross the line.
Deliver us! Finish it! Finish it! Evil!
Man of Steel. It's a daunting task to reimagine a global icon, and although Christopher Nolan paved the way with his Batman films, director Zack Snyder received his fair share of scorn with The Man of Steel. He takes cues from Nolan's movies, but some of those cues are clearer and more flawed than others. A kiss from a hero after saving the day is nothing new, but this line stuck out so much after the decimation of Metropolis that the sentiment's overwhelming cheesiness is the least of his problems.
You know they say it's all downhill after the first kiss.
I'm pretty sure that only counts when you're kissing a human.
It shares DNA with Nolan's brand of bat humor, and in the Man of Steel universe, it's completely out of place. The Matrix. A taste was all it took for Neo to realize the benefits of instantly downloading knowledge into a human brain. When Morpheus comes calling for an update on his progress, Neo's operator explains that Neo has had no sleep, no food, and no time off. In other words,
He's a machine.
the metaphor makes sense, but in the world of the Matrix, Tank is comparing Neo to the mechanical enemy attempting to wipe out humanity. Imagine if in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Marion Ravenwood claimed Indiana Jones was a real Nazi when it comes to archaeology. Those are our choices for 10 terrible lines in great movies. Got a terrible line in a great movie that you want to share? Tell us yours in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.